I got to give it just a minute to go live. And we're doing one of these pop up, pop down type of things. So nobody's going to be here. I don't expect anybody to jump on, but if they are, they'll get special kudos here in the chat. But it's late on a Friday. I'm about to leave for vacation. I'm wrapping up my week. I'm heading out to an undisclosed location near national monuments. Uh, and I'm excited about it. But before I go, I really wanted to do a little bit of a where are we? And so Ian and I meet, every week. Carrie's involved as well. But I want to bring some of that public. And so we're going to start having more of these kind of live stream pop ups and just talk about where we are with the charity. So if you've been living under a rock, Ian, what are we here talking about?
We are talking about that glorious, you see those luxurious locks that go all the way down, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah.
That beard is going to go from Matt's face to my face.
Only if we hit a certain number.
Only
But
if we get to a
between
certain
there,
number. What we're talking about is we're talking about charities. We're talking about impact.
Yeah,
we're
man.
talking about changing the world for the better.
Yep.
And raising the tide in cybersecurity and for charities that are focused on cybersecurity. And that's through the effort of Shave That Beard.
Well, let's talk about how it started. I've got a graphic for us because I'm a graphic guy. So I started this process because, and I'll call him out, I don't care, but because Tony Miller, who was my former VP of operations about 3 years ago, and we actually have a very important person on here. We're going to get back to that here in a second. Very cool. Good to see you. But I was asked, would you shave your beard? And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, how much money would it take to shave your beard? And somebody on LinkedIn just said, I'm against men shaving in general. Hard stop. Full stop. Fair. Touche. But it's for a good cause. We'll get to it in a second. So we essentially, I had that joke and I said, well, you don't have the money. There's a number, but you're not going to spend it to shave my face. And then he kind of asked that crux question. He said, what about for charity? And I quickly buried it because I knew I was had. And we didn't talk about it for like 3 years. But Ian, your better half one day was talking about your shave, your celebrity barber last year at Huntress, correct?
Yep. Oh yeah, we were there. All three of us were in the hall.
Yep. And she says, "Hey, well, would you shave your beard next year for this celebrity?" I said, "Absolutely not. I would not." And she said, "What about for charity?" Again, shit. And this time I stumbled on somebody meaning to do something about it, right? And
you can't poke my wife and be like, well, I bet you that. Oh, speaking of my wife.
Oh, we got an impromptu cameo appearance
live food delivery,
with
everyone.
Sammy.
Live food delivery.
I hate you, Ian. Oh my gosh,
we'll drag you away over the stove.
When we got there, you gonna bring me some chicken? Man,
no, like some bread bites and some pizza for sure, and hot sauce right there. Sriracha makes it all better.
So anyway, so we decided to go forward with this, and I really wanted it to make an impact, like you said. If it's not going to be big enough, I can't do it. It doesn't make an impact. I don't want to do it. And so we basically picked 5 charities, right? And we started moving forward with it. And what's really neat is I've had Richard and Richardson, between Carrie and Ian, have guided me as somewhat of an ignorant person in this space of how do we need to move forward? What do we need to do next? What are the things that are on our list? And maybe let's give a little bit of that window to people, Ian, that are watching. Like, what are we doing next? What are you and I working on right now for the next stage of growing this thing?
Yeah. So first off, already right now, shoot from the hip. This endeavor is already 25% to goal.
Yeah.
Little spoiler alert for later on in that slide deck. Little spoiler alert. We're already at 25% to goal, and we're just getting started. So with any sort of charitable initiative, when we're asking people, and especially corporate sponsors, to pony up 5 figures each for charity, you got to have some things put together. So Matt and I on the back end are working on a prospectus, a document that details out every part of this that will be shared with donors large and small on how funds are taken in, how those funds are stewarded, and how those funds are distributed out to these charities. There'll be some overviews of who these charities are, what they do, what their executive contacts are. In case you're curious, want to talk, want to reach out, want to do a little bit of your own validation, because this is a cybersecurity thing. I don't blame you for that, and neither does Matt, right? Like it's good to validate, trust but verify. But we're also working with a major player in our space, and that player is yet to be announced. And I hope they see this and realize they won't be announced until we have that firm commit around making this even more legit. Right now,
Yep.
it's Matt, Carrie, and I, and a group of volunteers, and we're all kind of like gum, like bubble gum and duct tape, and
Yeah.
dragging this along with our teeth. But getting this to a an official platform is kind of what Matt and I are working on the back end. So looking at getting some foundation support,
Yep.
making it so that this is a well-known, well-respected, established charitable foundation that can intake all of these funds and then do distributions. And we're trying to secure some major space at one of the industry's leading events to be able to perform the actual shave. So we've got a lot of logistics already worked out. We've already done, I believe, 2 distributions or are close to finishing up the second distribution. Isn't that right, Matt? And
Yep.
then,
Yep. We'll touch on that in just a minute because we're
yeah. So
but
it's a lot of logistics, right? Like when
yep.
you're talking about raising $100,000, it's not as simple as like, okay, well, let's just throw the $100,000 in a cigar
Yeah.
box and then we'll fly around the country and give people some checks, right? Like it is that simple,
Yeah.
but it's not.
Yes, exactly. And I think what's really cool about this, and we'll just be forthcoming, is that Ian and his company are trying to take some lessons from these things and help others do similar things where impact can be a very large way of how you show your corporate citizenry and how you show your company's culture in a lot of ways. And so it's really exciting stuff. Super happy about it. We've kind of leaked who that unnamed individual might be, but we're kind of getting to this point where we really need a lot more of the tactical operational decisions made. And so we're starting to hold out and start to think, what would we do if we didn't have that as an option? And so Ian and I've been working on that quite functionally. But let's talk about some really good wins this week, right? So I wanted to start by saying this charity would not be here without Ian and Carrie and the start that happened in that hall several months ago, and really the number of people that have jumped in and decided to help here has been just ridiculous as well. And we'll do a separate episode about that today, the shavees. But today I want to focus on some wins, and I've got to be quick because I am leaving for vacation. So let's go next. I wanted to say first, major donation alert, and this is still our top donation, but Eric Taylor literally stroked a check. He's with Barricade Cyber Solutions. They popped in our chat, so they're here, right? But
Yo,
Eric
yo,
Taylor,
yo.
it was so perfect. I didn't plan that, so thanks for popping in, brother. But Barricade wrote a check dedicated directly to the benefit of Hackers for Vets, which did a couple things. It made me realize I had a gap in my what's going to happen methodology that's getting written in the prospectus now around dedicated donations. But we funded that entire round, that first round, for Hackers for Vets in one single stroke of a massively generous former veteran that is all, or fellow veteran that is also wanting to give back to veterans exiting and have a good DD 214 and want to be able to help drive them towards a cyber goals and capability in the civilian space. So I wanted to say thank you, Eric. Just heartwarming. I hope other people take it upon themselves to crush your number and make it look tiny and infinitesimal. But today it is literally 15% of our initial donation space. And I don't know, man. I can't say thank you enough. So
Yeah.
any
Well,
thoughts, Ian, before I move on?
yeah, I mean, so I'm on the board, and I've been on the board since, 4 years now, of a local charity here in Michigan, Child and Family Charities, which is about underserved populations. And what Eric did is called momentum, and
Yeah.
it's an actual term in fundraising. So Eric created an initial ripple momentum, right? So when you get a fundraising effort off the ground, you'll have a first donor. Someone will drop in 500, $1,000, whatever, right? You don't want the thing at zero. You want it to have like a 1% or a 2% impact. So you'll immediately do some fund for some people who are already saying like, hey, we're involved. Here we go. We're not at zero right when the charity launches.
Right.
But you are reliant on someone coming in and making a splash. That splash
Yeah.
shows
And
big
that's not
forward
my fat
momentum.
self jumping in a pool. That's a splash of legitimate cash
Yes.
towards this endeavor. And it's a seed
When
number, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly. It's a seed round. It's when you're able to get that forward momentum going.
Yep.
Everyone else will see that forward momentum. There's an initial distribution, right? They see action happening. They see legitimacy. They see that forward progress, and that creates the momentum that we're seeing here this week that creates the drive for other people going like, hey, this thing's got legs, this thing's
Yeah.
going. This is quote unquote small dollar donations,
The
which is this is anything but a small dollar donation, right? But this creates a wave with people saying, hey, I got $5, I got $10, I got $50,
Yep.
I got $100, and they start donating because they see that forward
and
momentum.
that
So what
did
Eric did
happen.
is
Yeah.
yeah, it's crisis critical to get this moving forward.
Well, and
So
we're all about making an impact, Ian, right? You and I have a BHAG that we won't say online today, but it's ridiculous. But the
soon.
point of that, yeah, we will one day. But the point of that momentum, also when it gets down to the charity, is that we picked charities that were startup charities. We picked smaller charities or charities that had a higher need, because oftentimes you can't get momentum as a charity until you have more proof that you have it. I was on the United Waste Funds Distribution Committee for 10 years. And one of the biggest challenges is the system wasn't set up to let you succeed unless you already had other donations and in-kind use that you could prove, because we wanted to make sure you were already healthy and functional. And that makes a real barrier to startup charities. That often means bootstrapping and a lot of challenges there. And so we're wanting to make an impact where others might have failed. Bits and Bytes would be a great example of that. Same thing with Diversity Cyber Council. Women Who Code, significantly more established, but still makes a big difference. In fact, they talked about it this morning, and we'll go ahead and jump slides. And we'll get to that in a sec on how much of an impact this money is going to make today. But I wanted to do some notable contributions slide, and I'm going to update this as time goes. And what I mean by notable is it doesn't mean it's always the biggest donation. But in this case, the ones that I want to highlight are obviously Eric again. I can't run out of enough slide work for Eric at this point, just being such a seminal part of building this. But the other notable was our first donor. You said that earlier, Ian, and that was you guys, right? Between Carrie and yourself and Richardson, put your money where your mouth was. Right.
Mhm.
I have also contributed under a pseudonym, obviously. But the point is that you do see $1,000 donation from you guys that started this, that was done instantly. It happened, right in the very beginning. And it really just makes that first splash to prove, hey, this thing's running, y'all. We're moving forward. Right. And then today, the notable one that comes up, and we'll transition into why, is Michael Crean, good friend of mine that I've met just in the last couple of years, but I respect quite highly, was listening to our broadcast that we did today with Women Who Code, the CEO, Elena, that came on and talked about what an impact this makes. And we were at $8,100. Now, if you remember, the donations happen in $10,000 increments, other than Eric ruining my system and giving a $15,000 donation directly to a charity. We're not pointing any names or anything. But that being said, right, we had $1,900 to go to get to the 10,000 to bring the $10,000 to Elena, and Michael stepped right up, instantly said, I'm crushing it, and just knocked it out for him. Now, the best part, and the reason I have him up here as well, is I do intend to ask for more. In the sense that he's even indicated that may not be the end of Solutions Granted as we build this. And I think it goes back to your point, right? We need to give legitimization. We need to make sure we recognize these vendors. We want to make sure that they're seen as the corporate citizen that they're creating. And that's a lot of what we're doing today.
Mhm.
So where are we, Ian? Let's break it down for the
We're at
fellas.
25%. Well, 25.1. If we're going to get
I
technical.
genuinely thought about being 25.101 just because there wasn't going to be much, but I decided to be this guy instead.
Yeah. Just round it to one decimal, man. We don't have to be that technical. It's told to be no math. Cut it out.
Yeah, I was keeping significant digits, Ian. Significant digits. But I
We're
digress.
25% of the way there. That's a quarter, right,
Yeah.
folks? This thing is just getting started, and we're already 25% of the way there. And you'll notice that Matt has kind of like the shave happens when we hit 100K. You'll notice that this is going above. And I want everyone to understand that when we get to 200, and you notice I say when, not if, when we get to 200, you need to expect that this barber pole suddenly is going to extend more. And when we get to 300, it's going to extend more. And I'm not going to go much past that, but there is a pretty massive BHAG that Matt and I have both talked about that we were both in immediate agreement on that we are going to go for, but we're not going to stop until we blow that BHAG out of the water here.
Yeah, we may make this thermometer 4 miles long. We might have to scroll down for half an hour, right, to get to the
Oh,
bottom of
that's
the
right.
thermometer. But
That's right.
I do love that we're already at 25% of the way. Definitely was crushed by one massive donor. I'm going to reserve the left side of this slide now for any 5-figure donors, and that's going to be the only ones that show up on my thermometer. That's going to be the ones. Even though I appreciate every single donation, I think we're at 76 donations now, Ian, or 77 donations. But I really want to highlight those people that decide this is it for me. I'm absolutely going to step up to the plate and use this as a vehicle in the channel to show what's cool and what can be done.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
say something right here that Eric has set the bar.
yeah, way up here.
I'm pretty happy that Eric threw down his $15,000 donation, because I'll be honest, and I'm looking at you, channel vendors, I'm looking at everyone here, that if you're going to make a donation, you damn well better match Eric's.
Yeah, that would be really awesome.
Right?
And I know you have it in
So,
you.
all right, channel vendors, like, I'm gonna throw this out there.
Throw the
Eric
gauntlet
Taylor,
out, Ian. Yeah.
private citizen, right? Like, Eric's running a company, he's hustling like the rest of us. Eric throwing down 15,000, the rest of you, and I'm not going to name and shame right now, not yet, but you're going to be getting a call from Matt and myself, and we're going to be saying, hey, we'd like it if you would donate $15,000 to this cause. And if you want to blow that out of the water, go ahead and blow that out of the water. A little bit of competition never hurts. But Mr. Taylor has set the bar, and I appreciate you, Eric, because that's the other side of momentum, is that it creates a barrier to entry, and it says, no, you want to play, you're going to play at this level or above. So Eric has set our requirement.
Yeah.
At $15,000. And so if you have questions about that, you call Matt, you call me.
Exactly. And Ian is going to have his contact information on the site as well. But, ultimately reach out to myself. I'll get you in touch with Ian. If you wanted to do something, we're going to make it more and more attractive for corporate vendors. We're going to start putting some really nice thank yous. And a lot of that's contingent on waiting on that first corporate sponsor we talked about to set some things in stone. And so that's kind of the holdup before we start announcing what we're going to be doing for your generosity and to try to say thank you. But I wanted to say, it was such a cool experience. I got to interview Elena this morning. If you haven't seen that on my YouTube, I'd love for you to go look at it. I'll also start linking these to the GoFundMe page as well as the interim page. But we are able to distribute $10,000. We're in the process of going through our steps to distribute the $10,000 through Hackers for Vets to Women Who Code. And so they to put this in perspective, it costs $27 a year for them to provide the programming to an underserved or population that is predominantly woman, but also predominantly underserved constituencies in that space as well. And it costs $27 a year across the globe to put this on. That means that we have funded with our hideous beards, we have funded 27. Come on, you know the math. Let's go into
370 people.
Yeah, baby. He was like sitting there waiting for it to blow off top of his head. I was just seeing how long you can hold it. But we've made so much of an impact that we can help people learn to code and have job equality and have income equality and also help drive the DE&I efforts of many companies by teaching people to be in the highly skilled paid roles rather than staying specifically maybe in the roles that they would have normally been pushed to and uttered in. And if you didn't see that interview, it was great today. And she's going to be great. I wanted to answer this one real quick for Nathaniel. Is there any time limit? Yeah, if we don't hit the $100,000, like I'm highly thinking about being that guy that doesn't shave my beard at all. If we don't hit that 100,000 on stage, I may walk off and laugh at the barber, like with my pink beard and everything. So we have a time limit of November 10th, potentially, depending on which group decides to go forward with this. But it would be before November. We're going to want to hit this number so that we know and start traveling and getting all the schedule things for people to be involved. But yeah, stay tuned. But I would say get it in. Please don't miss the opportunity.
Yep.
And then
if you have contacts, if you have connections in the industry, if you have people who you have a personal relationship with and you want to help that effort, again, reach out to Matt, reach out to me. Let's coordinate some time to talk to your connections. But we want to have a broad base of impact for this endeavor. So anyone who has connections, or if you are connected in a company, you're a part of a company, and you say, hey, we'd like to be part of this, we'd like to know more, etc. I can share that information. Matt can share that information with you about what we're thinking and what's going on and what's in the works, as long as you understand that it is still being built, it is still being finalized, etc. But we'd love to get your commitment. we'd love to get your donation now. And we can coordinate that again behind the scenes. Reach out to us.
Yeah, thanks, Nathaniel. We appreciate you, brother. I'm going to throw up one last closing thing, and then we're going to get out. But please go to https://cybermattlee.com/shave-that-beard.
That's right.
I laughed because I watched Gary Vee make fun of his assistant for making something like this long. So I myself am stupid in this. It should have just been shave, right? Like I'm not very smart, but God bless me.
Or
I'm trying
beard.
hard. Yeah, just beard. Any of those
Beard.
would probably solve it, right? In that same vein. Thank you all for checking in today. I didn't expect to have this many people here and this many comments. It's freaking awesome. But special thanks, obviously, going out to Barricade Cyber Solutions. If you haven't checked them out, please check them out. They're a great incident response partner. They're a great DFIR partner, and I think they're very MSP friendly. So.
A little. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna have to.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
My donation. I will up my donation. So there we go.
Oh
Eric throwing down the gauntlet.
Man, he's trying to stay in that top spot, right? Because now it puts him in this pivoted top spot that those 5 come under him. It's almost like he's just trying to stay with that name right up in the B's. You know what I mean? In the very top of the page. And boy, appreciate you, brother. Listen.
So one other thing, again, from the fundraising area, everyone who's watching, talk to your friends, talk to everyone. But this URL, start throwing this out into public forums. You're on a group chat, throw it out on a public forum. You're in a webinar, throw it out on a public forum. Start tossing it out and saying like, hey, just bringing some visibility to do some good, etc. The more people we touch with this, the more $5, $10, $20 donations, the more that momentum builds. It's good to keep seeing funds come in through major donations and smaller donations. It's all going to charity. 100% goes to charity. There is no overhead with this.
Yep.
There is no administration cost. There is no salary. This is purely a donation drive.
Other than 2.9% that we get gigged for by the GoFundMe platform, of course. God bless me. I didn't expect that. I thought charity was free, damn it. But it's not. It's unfortunate. So that may change soon too. But great closeout, Ian. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to close it out by thanking Richardson. I'm going to close it out by thanking Barricade Cyber Solutions. And I'm going to close it out right now because they're right on my heart, of Michael Crean at Solutions Granted, for crushing it today and making. I literally watched Elena smile today, and I can't tell you how important that is to me. So thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to go look at a unnamed, undisclosed national monument. See y'all.